Very good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Lasham Daily Briefing for Sunday, the 18th of May 2025. We'll start by looking at the synoptic beginning yesterday at lunchtime. Reasonable day in the end yesterday. I think quite hard work in places for some people, but very pleasant to be on the airfield and lots of good flying with lots and lots of launches across the board. So that was very good to see. And there was that very dominant high actually centered up almost over Iceland with the low pressure, upon the high pressure working its way down towards us. And with a number of lows taking place over the North Atlantic beginning to make their way towards mainland Europe. Overnight, no real change other than this low that's moved a little bit further towards the western coast of Spain and Portugal. And then as we continue, that low is working its way up now to the Bay of Biscay, and that's at midday today. And that's going to be in closer over the next few days. But we should still see this nice high pressure, not quite as high as it has been, probably around 1021 locally today. And then as we run that through to midnight tonight and then into tomorrow, still reasonably clear over us with that low getting that bit closer. But we should remain reasonably clear until probably about Wednesday, and we'll start to see a little bit of frontal activity. SatPic at the moment, we can see, looking at the window as well, we've got this thick layer of low cloud, much like we had probably on Thursday from memory. Unlike Thursday, hopefully this is going to burn off, and it is already beginning to do so, but it's a blue sky beginning to pop through, and you can see it thinning out over us here. As far as rain is concerned, nothing to affect us, and there's nothing associated with that cloud. And if we run the Met Office prediction through, we can see there is nothing expected today. Some showers over on the continent, but nothing in the southern part of England. Farnborough Taff today, they're expecting 0106 knots, so north-northeasterly, as we've become very used to. Visibility 8 kilometers, breaking at 1500. That was the general theme. Then becoming between 8 and 11 local. Visibility greater than 10 kilometers, and clouds few 4,500. Spot winds to the south of us, not quite as northerly as the Farnborough Taff would suggest. We're expecting 0605 knots, and that's both at 2,000 and 1,000 feet. But then to the north of us, we're getting 02010 1,000 feet, 0205 at 2,000 feet. So not particularly strong wind today, and we can expect it probably to be somewhere between 020 and 060 here at Lasham. Windy, we can see the general trend being that almost northerly flow, but we do have an element of very small element of easterly in it, and we're expecting that to sort of remain like this all day, fairly light, but no real change anticipated. We can confirm that with the Met Office local forecast. You can see beginning north-northeasterly, becoming slightly more easterly later on in the day, peaking at around 7 knots, gusting potentially up to 15 or 16. Temperature maxing out today at 19, feeling ever so slightly cooler with that northerly component to the wind, and reasonable visibility throughout. Up to 7 today on the UV index in the warmest part of the day, so really do cover up, use sunscreen, and keep hydrated. Very, very important. It's going to be very strong indeed. The GFS showing us slightly cooler, actually, about 15 degrees for us, with a dew point of 7. And the Lasham webcams are not quite working yet. However, we still have our SORMET, so we can see the temperature just refresh that. We're now up to 9.8 with a dew point of 7.8. So not a huge difference there. But once this cloud begins to burn off and we get some heating onto the ground, I suspect that temperature will begin to climb quite quickly. Yesterday we maxed out about 18 degrees, even though, or 19 degrees. So despite the fact it felt quite warm, it really wasn't especially hot. So hopefully something similar today. Nice weather to be out in the airfield for anyone that wants to fly, and for the vintage task week that we've got going on in a minute as well. Sky sight now for the point forecast. Nothing incredible, but there's a little bit of a potential flight distance on the left part of the screen here. Back to the point forecast here, this lower cloud, expecting to be clear, hopefully in the next hour or so, and then blue for the remainder, quite a lot of surface heating, with thermals strength forecast up to 4 knots. Not particularly high climbs today, but later on, late afternoon, potentially up to about 5,000 feet on the QNH. Thermal top winds, very, very light, actually beginning north-northwesterly this morning, according to SkySight, a bit stronger, and then after sort of midday, almost straight northerly and very light, sort of about 5 to 7 knots. The high pressure that we've seen dominating actually steadily dropping off throughout today, before then rising back up to about 1021 tomorrow. We look at the cloud distribution now on Top Meteo, and we can see the evidence of that lower level cloud that we can see outside the window at the moment. If we run that through, beginning here at 9 local, we can see that it begins to break away, and by 11:30, 12 o'clock, it should be completely gone. Some evidence of cumulus to the north and west of us, and then by about 2 or 3 o'clock, actually Top Meteo is expecting us to get some cumulus activity breaking up eventually around 6 o'clock. So we'll see what happens. We've got SkySight and the Met Office anticipating it being blue, but there's always a little bit of hope. NOTAMs, just the two really that are of concern. 17, particular concern, it's Bath and Stacey live firing, as we can expect normally. But 19 here, that's Popham, and that's intense aerobatic activity as there was yesterday. And that's one to watch out for. It's NOTAM surface to 5,700 feet, and there are to be no overhead joins at Popham, and using the Balloon and Cross VRP for all circuit joins. So for our purposes, I would say just avoid Popham. Give it a very wide berth today, please. We'll move on now to the airfield briefing. And beginning with the RAF Odium cross section, showing very much in agreement with the cloud that we've seen outside the window and all the other forecasters, this fairly thick cloud. There was a hazard in for fog, but I've not seen anything here to suggest that. And then by about 10 o'clock local, expecting it to start being reasonably clear up to a few stratocumulus, and then the cloud base improving throughout the day, resulting in few Q up to about 3,500, 4,000 feet. Thermal strengths potentially, according to Odium, 4 up to 5 knots in the warmest part of the day. Reasonable visibility once all this clears, about 40 kilometers, and a northeasterly breeze about 5 to 10 knots, gusting up to 16. A lot of bookings. Then we have just one K21 today on booked instructional flying. There's also a K21 allocated to the casualist and for club members, and we have a K13 today on trial lessons. At the moment, there's 2 on the casualist, but I expect that to increase. So if we can get an instructor out to help, that'd be fantastic. And as always, the simulator is available. We also got the GHC task week on. We had a good day yesterday, lots of vintage flying, and we're expecting the same to continue today. We have been asked by Gary Pullen to put in a reminder for all vintage pilots that you must respect beer o'clock and to be in the hangar for 5 o'clock, because he was not a happy bunny yesterday. He delayed his retirement to the bar, So be warned, Gary is on to you. We have nothing from 2XL today, and in summary, we've got high pressure still over the UK with a low layer of cloud to begin. Should burn off hopefully in the next hour or so. It's already beginning to thin quite significantly and potentially leading to a few cumulus in the afternoon. We have northeasterly winds and we'll be operating therefore on runway 09, winching from the grass to the south and air towing on the north. If there was any requirement for a grid, that would be in the usual place on 09 at north grass and any heavy gliders on the runway as we've been doing for the last week or so. Please ensure, as always, that you're ready when the cable or tuck arrives and do not land or taxi across the disused runways shown here in red. Finishing off with your airfield setup with the grid in the top left corner, the winch running along the south side grass and air towing off the heart with the launch point vehicle in its normal place. That's all from me. We'll see you out there very shortly. Let's hope this cloud clears and we can have a good day's flying. Thanks very much.